Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for being here and welcome to this webinar organized by Docsity in partnership with Maynooth University to discover all the perks of studying in Ireland with Maynooth University. Just bear with me for a couple of minutes. I see people is joining right now as we speak. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Today, we have with us Alison Cook, the International Officer for Brazil, Dr. Heriberto Nepomuceno, Assistant Professor, Center for Ocean Energy Research Department of Electronic Engineering, and Thalita Nazaré, a postgraduate student with the scholarship Women in STEM Hume Fellow Scholarship. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. I see that more people is coming in. So we will just give everyone a couple of minutes to join. We know that in Brazil is at midday at the moment, so maybe everyone is just going out from their jobs or from school, or are just trying to find a quiet place to join. So just bear with us for a couple of minutes, and we will start this event organized by Docsity in partnership with Maynooth University to discover the perks of studying in Ireland. Today with us, we have Alison Cook, the International Officer for Brazil, Dr. Heriberto Nepomuceno, Assistant Professor, Center for Ocean Energy Research Department of Electronic Engineering, and also Thalita Nazaré, a postgraduate student scholarship, Women in STEM, a Hume Fellow Scholarship. She will tell us everything about her experience of studying in Maynooth University. My name is Lucia. I will be the webinar presenter today, and I'm very happy to have you all with us right now. So as I was saying, just give us a couple of minutes so we give everyone the time to join this event. Not everyone is able to be as punctual as the first ones to join, so let's just wait a couple of minutes. So this webinar is organized by Docsity in partnership with Maynooth University. We propose you to discover the perks of studying in Ireland. And today with us, we have Alison Cook, International Officer for Brazil, Dr. Heriberto Nepomuceno, Assistant Professor, Center for Ocean Energy Research Department of Electronic Engineering. We will also have the testimonial of Thalita Nazaré, who is a postgraduate student at Maynooth. She has a scholarship, Women in STEM, a Hume Fellow Scholarship. In the meantime, while we wait for more people to join, you will find the chat box right here below on the Zoom menu. There you can jump in and say hi and tell us from which part of Brazil are you connecting from today. And you will also find the Q&A box. You can start writing all your questions and we will answer them at the end of the presentations on the Q&A section. Just feel free to start writing them now, or you can write them as they come up during the presentation. So I see that I'm sure that more people will join as we go, but I would like to start the presentation just not to keep our speakers waiting any longer. So I'm Lucia from Docsity. I'm the webinar presenter today. We propose you to discover the perks of studying in Ireland with Maynooth University. And today with us, we have Alison Cook, the International Officer for Brazil, Dr. Heriberto Nepomuceno, Assistant Professor, Center for Ocean Energy of the Research Department of Electronic Engineering. And we will have the testimonial of Thalita Nazaré, postgraduate student with a scholarship, Women in STEM Hume Fellow Scholarship. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here with us today. And I will give the floor to our speakers.
Hi everyone, so I'm Alison Cook, as Lucia has said, here to represent Maynooth University. Hopefully you can understand my accent okay. I think it's clear enough, not too strong, an Irish accent. So I'm going to run through a presentation with you to tell you all about Maynooth University, studying here, courses, facilities, costs, tuition, scholarships, Ireland in general. I will run it through quickly enough because I have to go through a lot of information, but we're going to have a question and answers session at the end. So anything you want to hear a bit more about, maybe jot it down in the chat box, as Lucia has said. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, sorry, if you just bear with me at the moment. Back to the beginning. Okay, so like I said, I'm here representing Maynooth University, so let's just run through it. So here's just a quick summary of what we're going to do today. So I'm going to give you a presentation about the university. My colleague Ariel Vulton is going to talk to you about Maynooth University from the perspective of a Brazilian professor researching here. And then our postgraduate student Thalita is going to talk to you about her experience as a Brazilian student coming over and studying here at postgraduate level. And then we're going to have a 15-minute Q&A. Okay, I was panicking there. The down button wasn't working. Okay, so here's a summary of the information that I'm going to go through. Again, just to give you an idea of what we're covering in the next 20 minutes, and then I'll hand over to my colleagues. So we're going to talk about, well, you can read through this list yourselves quickly. Why students choose Maynooth, why Ireland, location, some statistics, rankings, graduate outcomes, student centre, courses, a bit about our facilities, accommodation, fees and scholarships, admissions and entry requirements, and then some images and student testimonials. Okay, so you can just picture yourself here. It's the same as my background. This is where the international office where I work is, just on the left of the picture. This picture must have been taken quite early some morning because there's no one in sight. It's usually quite busy, students, staff. We have two campuses. This is the older campus, and then we have a more modern campus, which you'll see pictures of later. So why students choose Maynooth University? So here are some of the reasons, which I'm kind of going to go through in a little more detail, to do with location. We're very well known to be student-centred. We're kind of top in the global rankings, very good career and graduate outcomes, and access to academic staff. So let's just talk a bit more about these details now. Okay, so a bit first, before I kind of get into the more granular details about Ireland in general. Probably most of you know Ireland, know of Ireland, probably haven't been here, but the fact that you're at this webinar means you are interested in coming. We would be the only English-speaking country in the Eurozone, offering kind of third level education through English, as an English-speaking country. I think Germany do offer some English language courses, but of course they're not an English-speaking country. It's a very friendly, safe and beautiful country, a lot of archaeological heritage, a very vibrant cultural, youthful life, and it's a good gateway to Europe. A lot of our students spend weekends and holidays traveling around Europe because it's economical and close. Okay, our location within Ireland. You can see a map here of Ireland in relation to Europe. That's a slightly skewed map. Probably France should be a bit higher up there to the east of the UK, but you get a general picture. We're beside the UK, close to France and Spain, on the western edges of Europe, as many of you I'm sure already know. The map below is Ireland. You can see Dublin city centre, our capital, is just 5 kilometres to the east. So we're just 25 kilometres west of Dublin capital. So very close, 35 minutes on the train or bus into the city centre. So it's an ideal environment for international students to come. It's kind of quiet, but also sort of bustling, quieter than a big city, but also a lot of atmosphere. So that makes it easy to settle into a new life, to get to know people, and also to be able to benefit to the proximity of a vibrant capital city. So just a few statistics, just to give you a sense of the university size. Obviously, Brazil is a massive country. I know a lot of the public universities are really, really big. Well, they all are. So we've got about 75,000 plus alumni around the world, 100,000 plus international students. Currently from more than 90 countries, about 12,000 undergraduate students, 3,000 postgraduate students. So that's 15,000 students overall. Then in terms of rankings and research, we're a very globally connected university. 1/3 or more of our academic staff come from abroad, many outside Europe. We have partnerships with almost 200 universities worldwide, but within and outside Europe, many with Brazilian and other Latin American universities. We're ranked 106 globally and first in Ireland in the Times Higher Education Young University rankings. And then we're quite highly ranked in some of the sustainable development goal areas of global impact, gender equality and quality education. You can see they're ranked first in Ireland, 5% globally in the first. You can just have a quick look there. And finally, we have an engineering college located in China in Fuzhou. So then just a little bit more about our teaching and research. It will not be the case in every country, but in Ireland, in our university, there is a very strong overlap. So many of our leading researchers, most of them are also committed teachers, not all of them now, but many are, and most, if not all of our teachers are also researching. We're a very diverse learning community. We're known we're known both internationally and nationally for our student diversity, and we are continuing to invest in world-class facilities. So you can see there, 2002, last year, we opened a 48 million euro high-tech technology society and innovation building, and then a couple of years previous to that, a 14 million euro School of Education building opened up. So there's constant investment, there's building happening all the time, growth and development. Okay, so the next spoke on the wheel I showed you at the beginning was to do with career prospects and development, graduate outcomes, which is particularly important, I know, for postgraduate students. Often students are choosing a course based on the employment outcome they think they may hope to get at the end of it. So we have a very good career development centre, which offers a range of services that are useful for international students, whether they want to avail of the Irish stay-back working graduate visa or whether they want to return to their home country straight after graduation. These skills are useful. So we do have a 2-year graduate stay-back visa. Once you graduate from your master's program, you can stay and work if you gain employment, or equally, like I said, you can return home straight away. But there's lots of services on offer to help you find employment, recruitment events with employers on campus, and these other services on offer. Then in terms of graduate outcomes, you can see there we have 91.33% of our graduates are either employed or in further study or training upon graduation. So that was a survey done last summer. So that is, pretty much everyone. Well, not pretty much, it's 91.33%, but it's a very high percentage. We have strong industry links. Just there's a few listed there, and I'll just show you a few more in a moment. Intel, IBM, BP, Microsoft. We have a placement office that helps students find work placements, which are an integral part of many of our degrees. Not every single degree, so you need to look into that, but a lot of our degrees do have work placements. So the university does help students also with their practical skills. And this can be the case in research also. Erivilton will likely tell you a bit about that as well, the practical elements. And as you can see, we have had two Nobel Peace Prize winners within our student staff and alumni. Okay, so there's just a quick look there at some of the global businesses that we would have cooperation with in terms of placements and business work projects, that kind of thing. So you'll probably recognize lots of those names. Okay, so like I mentioned at the beginning, we are kind of known to be a very student-centered university in something called the International Student Barometer, where students from all over the world vote on their university. We ranked first in Ireland for the quality of student support compared to other Irish universities, and quite high up globally as well. I don't have those exact statistics, but each year we've done quite well. So we have Student Services Centre that offer a lot of free student support services to students. Well, when I say free, you're paying your tuition, of course, but this is included. So there's a counselling service, there's doctors, nurses, budgeting advice, chaplaincy, which is not tied to any one religion. And then there is our writing support centre, mathematics support centre to receive extra help with those areas, which is beneficial for everyone, no matter how good you are, I think. And we'll talk a little bit more about clubs and societies later, and Thalita, our student, is likely going to talk a little bit about that too, from her perspective. Okay, so just getting on to the studies, postgraduate studies, which is why you're all here, you know, to learn about the university and courses more specifically. So we've a very supportive academic and learning environment, good range of one-year taught masters. So in a lot of countries, the US, for example, a lot of the masters are 2 years. We have one-year taught masters programs that are recognized internationally. We have small class sizes and direct access to professors as discussed, and also a focus on employability. Let me just check the time. We're doing okay. Hopefully you can understand. I know I'm talking quite quickly, but I think having the presentation to read will be helpful also. Talking quite quickly in an accent maybe you're not used to. Okay, so here's a list of some programs. So when you signed up, there was a list of some of our more popular programs, but we do have a very kind of broad range in 3 different faculties of some very popular, some more specific programs. So as you can see, we cover kind of ancient classics and philosophy, history, English, that would be English literature as opposed to English language, School of Modern Languages, which would be more the language side of things, and then music, and there's a couple of new music masters coming on board also. Then anthropology, the Faculty of Social Sciences here, anthropology, social studies, sociology, these programs are very popular. The Kennedy Institute offers mediation and conflict intervention. We have some popular geography degrees, climate change, for example. Then the list of business and law programs, economics, finance and accounting, and design innovation. And then finally, in the Faculty of Science and Engineering, we have a broad range of computer science, electronic engineering, maths and stats, some biology and chemistry. I know a good few of you expressed interest in the MSc Immunology and Global Health. That's a really popular program. Psychology, there's loads of other psychology, but a lot of it would be at postgraduate level would be research based. There is also a taught masters, a general one, and then the National Centre for Geocomputation. Okay, so I can answer kind of more specific questions about courses in the Q&A, but that's giving you an overview of the programs that we cover. Okay, so something about campus life, to give you a sense of our facilities and being here as a student. So as mentioned, we're known for student support, and we're also known as quite a sociable university. So a poll of 10,000 third level students, that means university students, voted Maynooth University as Ireland's friendliest college. We have a students' union that is a representative body for students separate to the university, but located within the university, that have a lot of activities and support organised for a student. We've over 100 sports and non-sport clubs and societies, everything you can imagine, from tea societies to Japanese studies to volleyball to whatever, a very really wide range, and also a good range of sports facilities, both indoors and outdoors. Accommodation, so this is a really important one. Of course, if you're coming over from outside Europe, you need somewhere to live, and which is the case for many of our Irish students too. We attract a broad range of students from around Ireland, so many people are living nearby. So we do offer on-campus accommodation, which you can see a bit of detail on there. There is, of course, a limited supply. It tends to be students coming for the first time tend to be prioritized, both international and domestic students. So students coming in at their first year, this accommodation is through the academic year, so September through to May. So our academic year, most of you probably know, is different to the Brazilian one. It runs from September through to May. And then at that time, you kind of have to launch into the community and find a private accommodation if you're doing a longer program. So we do have a service to help students find private accommodation within the town or surrounding areas, or the train line into Dublin allows students to kind of live and commute also. And so this is known as the Home Finder service. It's run by the university and facilitates private landlords putting up details about their properties, and the service provides advice to students in relation to renting privately. Okay, something about tuition, fees and scholarships, which I know is one of the most important things for you, because, you know, of course you can't come and study if it's not affordable. So the postgraduate programs run from about 14,000 to 15,000, or actually probably 13,000 to 15,000 euros per annum for students that are coming from outside Europe. If you have a European passport and have worked in the European Union for 3 of the last 5 years, the tuition fee would be about half of that. But having a European passport is not sufficient. You need to have worked and paid tax in the European Union to get that discount. So that is the tuition fee. It's a lot, I know, but there are a lot of scholarships available, and it is quite common and normal in Ireland for students to work part-time while studying. And maybe not so much at PhD level, but definitely through taught programs. So as a Brazilian student, you don't require a visa to come here, but you do need to register with the Immigration Bureau when you arrive. And there is a cost for that, like there is for everything, unfortunately, in life. That is not to ourselves, that is to the government. So that's 300 per year, but it allows you to get a tax number and to work for 20 hours during term time and then full time during holidays. Most Irish students would work at university. I definitely did. It's common. It's a lot to juggle, but people do it all the time. In terms of scholarships, there are loads of different scholarships available. They're all for small amounts, but I have talked to students that have received several different ones, and it all adds up. So the Graduate Studies Office offers taught master scholarships, 60 plus across the university, 2,000 euros each. Then my office, international office, is offering scholarships specifically for Brazilian students for similar amount. And then academic departments, for example, the School of Business, are also offering scholarships. So students could find they get 2,000 here, 2,000 there, 2,000 there, and it all helps. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay, let me just think. I need to hurry up, looking at the time. Okay, so this is just, I'm not going to go through the detail of this, but you will get a copy of the recording. It's just an estimate of costs living in Ireland. However, we are the only university located in a town rather than a city, so it is estimated that our costs are a bit less than other Irish universities. So that may be helpful to know. Some information on admissions. So postgraduate taught degrees, the absolute minimum for a Brazilian student would be a 6.5 from a well-recognized university. Then depending on the program, there can be different ranges. The MSc Immunology, for example, which I know a few of you were interested in, would have a higher requirement. It'd be very competitive. So really the top students will get into that one. But some of the other programs would be more accessible for everyone. You can see a bit about the English language requirements there as well. Again, 6.5 would be the basic entry level. So some information about the application process. Again, you'll receive this recording afterwards and you can go into more detail. Once you log into this website, it tells you absolutely everything that you need. This documentation here, passport, transcripts, letters of recommendation, all the usual stuff. Okay, so here is just a couple of testimonials from students saying that you can see the first girl from India doing economics and financial risk analysis was really impressed with the high quality lectures, active life on campus, and also her opportunity to develop her career and extend skills outside the classroom, which I've talked a bit about already. Then Cassie below from Zimbabwe was more struck about how friendly she found coming to Ireland and to Maynooth. She found it easy to settle in. Okay, so I'm going to run you through a few pictures of the campus so you get a better idea. Like I said, we have a kind of an older campus which stretches back to 1795, which is where we have our roots, and then we were developed as a kind of a newer university with this history in 1997, and have a newer campus to represent that. And our classes and academics are spread both, and administration are spread across both campuses. So here's a few pictures of the older campus, and here's a few pictures of our newer, more modern campus. As mentioned, we are kind of student-centered, student-first. A few pictures of some student activities here to give you a bit of sense of the community. And then Ireland is known as the country of saints and scholars, a lot of beauty, a lot of history, a lot of culture. A few pictures. This is the famous Cliffs of Moher. Some landscapes, lots of sheep, lots of waterways, lakes. And I'm going to show you a 90-second video to give you a bit of a flavour of the campus, and then I'm going to hand you over to my colleagues.
Welcome to Maynooth University. Maynooth is Ireland's fastest growing university, with over 13,000 students from over 90 countries. Located just outside the capital city of Dublin, there is no better place for you to experience the next step in your education.
With fantastic accommodation on campus and a wealth of amenities, Maynooth is a truly unique university.
Where the old
meets the new.
Where you can hang out with your fellow students.
Want to take a bit of quiet time? Shh.
Where you can get some study done. Or sneak a quick snooze between classes.
You can spend some time in nature.
Or escape to new worlds with the latest technology.
With plenty of options for eating,
Playing.
or just grabbing a cup of coffee. You will find everything you need for a student life right here at Maynooth. Maynooth University, where the sky is the limit.
Okay, so hopefully that gives you a good idea of Maynooth University and answers some of your questions. I'm going to hand you over to my colleague now, Erivelton. I would be more polite and give his full title, but his Brazilian family name is quite difficult for me to pronounce, so he can perhaps do that for you. So thanks so much, and talk to you later.
Okay, Alison. I think I'm going to share my screen here. All right. So, okay, thank you very much for the invitation, Alison, Lucia, for this opportunity to talk about my experience as my perspective of a Brazilian academic. So my name is Erivelton Nepomuceno, and I'm working here in the Center for Ocean Energies Research, and as well in the Department of Electronics Engineering at Maynooth University. And so just a bit of a background of myself. I'm an electrical engineer. My master and PhD degrees were done at Federal University of Minas Gerais in Belo Horizonte. And I have a bit of experience, international experience before coming to Ireland. 2 postdoctoral research, as in Brazil we call it, but in fact this is a sabbatical because during that time I was a professor at Federal University of São João del Rei in Minas Gerais. And both of them were done in London. The first one at Imperial College and the second at University of London City. But I also have some partnership with St. Petersburg in Russia. And my research areas were computer arithmetic, system identification, cryptography, ocean energy, and complex networks. I'm currently an assistant professor at the Department of Electronics, as I already said. And why, so when I start to think about my view of academic, I come to my mind some key aspects that I'd like to perhaps to point out. First, the ideas that in general, the human development index can encompass that, because I think that the top high position that I can see in my life with my family here over the past 1 year and a half that I'm here. So that position express the cells in the quality of service, in the quality of education. I can see with my children at school, how are they good. So I think that it's quite real as well. But for me, perhaps even more important about that is a very low Gini coefficient, indicate a relatively equal distribution of wealth. So it means that the difference between salaries are not so high. And when I give a piece of advice for my own students here at Maynooth, or even, for example, for my children, I'm quite free to follow vocation, because in majority of the case, the jobs that they can get, you'd provide a decent style of life. And also there's something that for me, it's almost priceless, is also the GPI, because Ireland in the recent rank has performed as the first in the Global Peace Index, indicating a peaceful and stable society. So this sense of security, as for me, that working in other countries as well, it's quite useful, it's quite important. And another point that academic, particularly for areas of science STEM, is about the highest position for innovation. So it's really important as well, because it provides a lot of opportunity to do research, and then as well for former students to get a good job. And quality of education as academic, I think that's a key point, even to study, but also because we can receive very good students at our university. So I think that the discussion at class are very high level, so it's really, really important. So Ireland is ranked at the top 20 countries in the world for higher education. Irish universities are research intensive, so it's really, really important, because I think that this is the key, this is the core of university. You are at the edge of knowledge. So we teach those topics of knowledge that it's already stable, but for a university it's really important to educate a critical think. And critical thing, you should deal with mystery, you should do, and there is no other better place than research. So this is really important for us, because at the majority of the time we can mix and the stable knowledge, the well-known knowledge that you could provide for students in undergraduate course or even taught masters, but also with some ingredients of research. And the Irish, and as the last topic of this slide, the Irish higher education system focuses on innovation and entrepreneurship, but even in primary and secondary education. And this is a quite confusing slide, but I'd like just to point out, because when you arrive in another country, it's really, really important. I had to understand a bit of education system. I had the opportunity to give a talk for the island. Engineers Island is more or less in Brazil as CREA, and that the job profession that works for engineers and other professions. And there I could see how important it is to understand the education system, because only if you understand that, you can see, for example, how it's possible for the majority of undergraduate courses in engineering. It is 4 years and it's not 5 as usually in Brazil. And one key point that I'd like to point out about that is that we have here a very well-structured secondary year. And this, it starts from this part here. So you have what they call the transitional year. Is quite a unique system. When you are in something equivalent in Brazil in the first year of our ensino médio, our secondary school, and we have the opportunity with a very flexible way to study. You don't have exams. You can go to get a job. You can go to get a trainee in a company. You can go to make a project with a university. But what's the key point? To help you to understand your vocation, to help to understand your desire for a university level. So it's really amazing job. It's a really amazing program, because after that, you are going to study in this living certificate. You are going to choose a topic of subjects, and that will start to focus on your career. So in a way that you start to do your undergraduate course a bit early in some sense. So this is really, really quite wonderful way to see things like that, you know. And another point for many of you, perhaps, that can come here for a master, there are a lot of information. One of these is very useful, these foreign qualifications. So you can see, for example, with the national level, if you have a specific qualification, how can you put yourself in this level here? There are for levels NFQ, level from 1 to 10. And here I just show just a couple of them. And also, I think that as academic, for me, it's quite amazing how many different cultures I can face. So Ireland is a very multicultural country with a diverse population that includes people from many different countries and cultures. I live here nearby Maynooth, in a city, in a town with a bit more than 20,000 people. And my children at their school, they have 30 to 40 different nationalities. So this is really, really amazing, a multicultural environment. Apart from that, and additional from that, the Irish government has actively promoted policies to encourage diversity, inclusivity, and create a welcome and tolerant environment, not just for students and academics, but as well if you'd like to continue your life here in Ireland and to get a job. So as academic as well, the availability of research funding, it's quite amazing, because after just 3 months that I arrived here, submit a proposal, and I have just got more than 500,000 euros. This is in reais, is more or less more than 3 million of reais, so to support my research. So this is really, really important. And the country is home to several world-class research centers as well. So you can see many opportunities to increase your knowledge. And that's quite different from what you can see, fortunately, in Brazil. The collaboration with university and private sectors and companies and industries are quite high, particularly for areas of science, engineering, and technology. In summary, so what I'd like to say is that Ireland offers an international environment, a diverse and tolerant society, and opportunities for personal and professional growth. The country has a strong focus on innovation and entrepreneurship, and its universities are highly ranked of the quality of education they offer. So we have many aspects of this life, and very important. I think that Ireland is a great place to live, to work and study. And after 1 year and a half here and start to supervise my own postgraduate students, my PhD students, I believe that it's a good place to stay and to bring family and to live. So that's it for me. this is my email. If any of you would like to send an email for any other questions, I'll be happy to try to answer. So that's it. Now I'd like to hand over to Thalita to her testimonial.
Thanks, that's great.
Okay, hi guys, my name is Thalita. I'm a PhD student here in Maynooth, and Derivelto Nepomuceno is my supervisor. And let me share my screen just a second here. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you. Well, I arrived here in last September, so there's no long time that I'm here, but in these past few months, I've been able to experience what Alison and Erivelton has shown us, and I'd like to point highlight some points here, like the first, more than improve your English here, you get a Master International certificate, and this for sure, this improve your CV and your skills. And during your master, you can join workshops like academic write or how to do a good presentation, and Irish culture or internet. There's some international events like this. Last Monday, we have a class for Irish dance and a call for international students, so you can meet all the international students here on campus. And in Action, you can increase your networking with companies, as Alison said, and research in your own field, and that without doubt helps you find a good job. Like, well, when you are here, you can just increase your networking, just meet new people and others research in the other areas, so you can just find what you like, what you can do with your research. And there's some research and doctoral programs that require master degree at English speaking university, and this is quite important because in the past I don't know year, I think that in 2018 I was looking for opportunity for a PhD, and the university require a master in an English-speaking university, and I did my master in Brazil, so I can't apply for this. And doing your master here also increase the chance to get a scholarship for a PhD. So if you want to do a doctoral or a PhD, so for sure, if you're doing your master, this increase your chance for get the scholarship. And about my personal experience, well, there is no better way to practice your English than by interacting with people on a daily basis. Like here in my research group, we had lunch together every day. So when I arrived, I was quite shy, so it was difficult, but there is no class or lessons that can help me as talking with my colleagues every day. So in the start, sometimes I thought that my English is not too good, and how many times I spent here was, oh my gosh, but it's just worse. And no, it's because when we arrived here, the conversation is more like about, oh, how was your day? What do you think about Ireland? And now you improve the conversation and improve some specific topics, and you can talk about this, and you even thinking about what you're talking. So because everyone, especially the international students, are in the same situation, so you can sometimes get help for your friends, and you can help, and you make friends from different parts of the world. Like here in my research group, we have from Ireland, Italy, Spain, Basque Country, Germany, and Scotland, and Russia, so, and Argentina as well. So you learn from them and you teach them about Brazil, and together you discover wonderful experience in Ireland. Like in one day, you can just hike on cliff in this first pictures here. All these pictures I took. So in just one day, you can go to this. These cliffs is 1 hour from Maynooth. So here we have as well the campus, as Alison showed us. Now I'm living on campus, and as I'm in the first year. And here in Maynooth, we have also a beautiful place. The Carton House is a place for playing golf, but you can walk around and enjoy the landscape and the experience, like learning how to make a traditional gnocchi with Italians and improve your culture, like, because there's a lot of programs and museums and galleries that you can go for free. And I think that's it. On my part, it's okay.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It's really nice to see all your pictures and hear everything. Okay, so I think we're going to run through some of the questions. Is that the idea, Lucia? Maybe if Thalita and Erivolton can keep their cameras on as well, and we can share the questions.
Sure.
Oh, me too, actually.
Of course. I was about to say that. Thank you very much, everyone, Alison, Erivolton, and Thalita, for your presentations. I see that we already have quite a lot of questions. If you want to start, Alison, reading them, or if you would like, I can do that for you.
Yeah, well, maybe if you do it, and then one of us can jump in if we feel we have the best answer, you know?
Okay.
Or the answer.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I do have Erivolton shared with me his email address, the one that he was displaying on his PowerPoint presentation. I'm putting it right now on the chat box for everyone to copy it. If you, Alison and Thalita, would like to do the same with your contact information, we can of course share that on the chat. So apart from that, we will start reading the questions. The first one says, does the university has any research internship for students? Maybe this is something we have already mentioned during the presentation, but it's always good to refresh it. Maybe for who joined later.
I'll just say a quick thing about that, and Erivolton might be able to say something better. I don't know. I would say research internships, I mean, we do, but like, okay, so if you're a registered student, there's a lot of internship opportunities available to you, placements, that kind of thing. If you're not a registered student and you just want to come for an internship alone, that's a bit more specific. We definitely receive students that would be registered in a Brazilian university, for example, and they want to come here as a visiting research student. And there generally isn't fees for that, but there does tend to need to be some kind of academic link or agreement with a supervisor. So you can come as a visiting research student. If you're not registered to any university at all, I'm not sure if we have anything to offer in that case. That would be a bit less usual. What do you think, Erivolton?
Yeah, that's right. It's, of course, it's quite limited and competitive. Our research center, we receive around 5 to 10 international internships every year. So if you are interested, you can get in touch with me, and I will be happy to give more details. And the idea is that you are a temporary student and you develop a research project with academic staff. And but it's quite a quite good opportunity. For example, I have just received a PhD student here from Brazil. He spent here 6 months, and he had a good time here with the group. And now in May, I will receive 2 French students. So the idea is that not just for me, but the idea, if you are interested, try to get in touch for a specific professor in your area and ask if his or her lab accepts you, and you start to talk.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, contact the specific department and
Yeah.
professor. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Alison and Heriberto. Another interesting question says, how long in advance should we start the application?
I would say that students are still in time to apply for September coming, if that is the situation for any of you. Our applications will close at the end of June, 1st of July. So it can be anything depending on your own situation. You can apply before you have your graduation certificate, but of course you wouldn't get a full offer until we see that. So you can get a provisional offer pending documentation. Or, you know, equally, the application system opens in October each year for the following September. So you can apply anytime between October and the following June, and your application will be processed and considered.
Okay. This is something I myself add, because I think it's very interesting. Every time that we present an international university for international students, taking into consideration that international students have to go through a lot of, I mean, in this case, not a visa, as you explained before, Alison, but, you know, bureaucracy about their titles, the documents, how long does it typically takes? I mean, for a standard case, of course, and it goes from one case to the other.
To review the documentation, is it?
Yes, and maybe for the students who go through the bureaucratic process of, I don't know, getting stamps, getting certified, and translations maybe, and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, from our side, it's it doesn't take too long. I mean, I think it depends on the country a student is coming from. Of course, we do need a kind of certificate and a translation, but you know, we don't look for anything else other than that. You know, we just need a document in English showing, an official document in English showing your results, including your English language, and then we'll process your offer within, or your application within 2 to 3 weeks. But there's not a lot of bureaucracy on our end, really.
Oh, okay. And do you have Maynooth, do you have an office to help students with these bureaucratic procedures?
Yeah, we the admissions process used to be within the international office, but that is now in a separate office on its own, that looks specifically after admissions. So there's a team of people there that can answer any questions and help with that for sure. Yeah.
Well, that's actually very helpful, I think, for students from Brazil or from any part of the world that are arriving to Ireland and to Maynooth. Another question is, how high is the cost of living? Is there any kind of financial aid?
Yeah, I guess I covered that a bit in the presentation. I kind of gave a slide on the cost of living, which, you know, we just ran through, so the students can go back and have a look at that. There's our university has given an estimate of between sort of 11 and 12,000 per year for the academic year. That's September through to May, 9 months. With the kind of Ukrainian-Russian war and the pandemic, the cost of living, as you know, globally has really raised, but it is starting to come down again. Inflation has decreased here in recent months and is expecting to be lower than expected. But like I said, unless students have a lot of savings, most will work part-time. Financial aid, you know, for research students, it is possible to get full funding. For master's students, no, not really. There is some of the scholarships I mentioned, but generally people don't want to fund students doing taught courses. They want to fund students doing research. So students do work part-time or else save, get smaller scholarships, that kind of thing.
So just to add on this direction, not for taught masters, but for research masters, there is a very competitive call for the Irish Research Council, that particularly if you get a company to work with your research, and that's perhaps something that a couple of students, they are exploring, because if you get a company, the company is going to pay half, and the research, the Irish government will pay another half. But it's quite competitive, and every year you should, every September to October, you should apply to get the answer in April and to start the following September.
Great. I've just put that into the chat box. That's the Irish Research Council. I'll do that
Yeah.
funding. People can look it up. Thanks.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I'll make sure everyone receives it. Thank you very much for that. Another question that I think is interesting, since the situation is changing in the last few months in different European countries, and how difficult is to find housing?
Okay, I might just start this, and then Thalita, you can say a little bit about it because you have to do it. Yeah, it's not that easy. I'm going to be honest. There's a global accommodation crisis all across Europe for sure. Ireland's no exception. It's probably a bit better outside Europe. So it's difficult. There's accommodation on campus. There's accommodation off campus. It does take a bit of time. We work closely with international students. We're not aware of any international students that didn't find accommodation this September. It just takes a bit of work, and it's a bit harder to do from online. You know, you kind of generally need to arrive, meet people, and then get it. I'd recommend all students to apply for on campus, just because it's a good starting point. That we do have the system I mentioned, the home finder system. It's also good just to maybe have something temporary booked for when you arrive. We do have kind of temporary on-campus accommodation where you can, like a bed and breakfast, where you can pay kind of just nightly. So that could be an idea just for the first week or so to kind of start off there if you don't know anyone here. And then you generally just have to email people, turn up, view places. It takes a bit of work, but people do find places. Students share accommodation. People live in family homes, host families. We do work with a host family organization actually that place students as well. So there's definitely lots of options, but I won't say it's simple and plentiful either, because you just have to listen to the news and you'll know I'm not telling the truth. Do you want to say anything, Thalita, about that?
Yeah, it's just this, and I think the best option now is try to get a room on campus, but it's quite competitive, so it's not sure that you get the room. But I don't know anyone that didn't get a room here in Maynooth. I think that in my research group we are quite a lot of students, and just one Irish student. All the students are international, and everyone find a house. So it's quite difficult, but you can find. And I think that the most important is to do the networking, because once you are here, you can just meet more people and talk with each other, and it's better to find more others accommodation, or you can just meet someone that's living now, you can get the place.
I see.
Yeah, just to add something on these directions, that I think that the key point is to develop a network and also a face-to-face contact for two reasons, because I think that the landlord and the person, that the tenant, should know the person, because it's another point is that try to use official channels to find your house, because sometimes you can arrive in a fake website and they are required to get money, and if you don't know for sure, unfortunately there are some people that they have been installed a couple of years on this direction. But just today, in a couple of hours before, a Brazilian PhD student came to my office, and he arrived here 2 weeks before, and he was very happy because he found accommodation. And he was in a temporary accommodation in Dublin, and now he found accommodation 500 meters from the campus. So it's, I think that the key point is that if you don't find something secure in the first place, come for a hostel for something temporarily, and after that, face-to-face is much easier, because the point is that, because this is more confident for both sides, the persons, that you are a live person that you can pay, and also you can see that this is the proper house that you can rent.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for your 2 cents on this. Here's another question that I think Thalita can answer based on her experience of her classmates, but also Alison and Heriberto, why not? Would you recommend working and studying at the same time?
Well, I think I can't just answer properly this question because I'm doing a PhD. So in my case, no. But I don't know for the master, but I think that Addison can answer this matter.
Yeah, I kind of covered this a bit in the presentation. I think most PhD students wouldn't and can't. Most are funded and aren't actually allowed to work. They might be doing some work within the university, teaching assistant, but not outside of the university. Often research students don't, but students doing thought courses generally do. Would I recommend it? I mean, you know, if you have the money not to do it, of course, it's nice to focus on one thing. I worked when I did my master's. I think all my colleagues worked when they did their master's. It is, it's busy, it's not easy, but it's just like I said, it's really common and it's okay. I mean, some of our master's programs, like the business ones, maybe are 2 full days a week instead of having several hours throughout the week. So they're kind of accommodating people that are working. You know, some people are working nearly full time and doing master's programs. So this has kind of been the Irish system for a long time. So the lecturers generally know this, and I think it is definitely possible. Recommended, obviously, is a different question because it all depends on your own financial situation. I think I always liked working. You know, you're going to get to socialize, you get to put your head into something different to your studies. Well, depending on what your job is, you know, I did kind of jobs that were social. So yeah, I mean, I personally would recommend it, but I think if you financially don't need to, it's nice to focus on just your studies.
Yeah, just to add something, Alison, that I think that you cover almost everything, is that, of course, if there is no financial requirement, you have some sort of freedom to choose or not choose. But even that, if you have this kind of freedom, I think that perhaps try and verify is a good approach. First, arrive here, start to study, and see how difficult the models are for you. And after that, you can also start the job. And if you think that it's too heavy, okay, you can give up. You know, I think that perhaps without imagination, try and verify. And additionally, particularly for non-native English speakers, I think a job with 4 to 8 hours or even 12 hours, it's a wonderful way to get practice with English. Even in very small businesses, a cafe or in shops, you have to interact with people all the time. So I have heard very good experience with people that they got some ears and as well a good level of speaking in English as well.
Oh, and there is the Maynooth Student Union, and there's a bar, you can work there. And I have a colleague that is working in a library, so it can be an option as well.
Okay, I see. Thank you very much. About the level of English, we have a question about if the TOEFL IDT could be enough as an English level certificate.
Whether it would be accepted, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is accepted. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. There's another general question. What happens if we do not pass some exams?
I think it depends on the program, but we generally have a system here, you know, as in, we have a system here that there are repeat examinations. Most of the exams are kind of in January and then June, and then there is an opportunity to resit exams in August where they have not been passed. In the case of continuous assessment, there can be flexibility as well. It will depend on the program, but I was talking to a student yesterday who was really upset. She's a really good student and she just completely flunked one of her law projects. She was new to the area and thought she'd done really well, and turns out she hadn't. But was giving her the critical feedback on the project. She was also given an opportunity to redo the project within a month. She went and spoke to the professor, she got some advice, and now she's a lot happier and starting into retrying it. Now, that may not also always be the case, but you know, generally our standards, you do have to pass and meet the standards to progress, but there is sometimes an opportunity, generally an opportunity to resit that. Now, if you kind of fail it again, then you kind of might be held back a year. And if you're doing a master's programs, you can't really be held back a year. So you do need to kind of pass the second time around for sure.
Yeah, and another thing that happens in different from the department for other department is that there is a systemic view about the results. So, for example, if a student get bad results in one module, but it was very good in another ones, so a very specific view is going to be taken to see what happened, if there are something possible. So I have seen, for example, situations that they didn't get the minimum of 40, but he got 35, and he was very good in all the subjects. So with that, the department, we call the exam board, we decide, no, I think that he got the knowledge, if there is a specific problem there. So I think that explaining that, I think that only if you have very bad results in a general perspective that you are going to apply, but it makes sense. Otherwise, your certificate is not going to work if you don't get the knowledge, but it's very general situation that's going to happen that.
And just to say something on that, yeah, there would be a sort of a policy kind of around compensation. It's not, it's not a grey area in that it's not fully up to the discretion of a department or the exam board, but there are official allowances to compensate in one module if there's been a drop. But it is kind of written in a policy to make it fair across the board. So, if there's too much dropping or too low, it can't happen. But there is some compensation allowed to transfer over, as Eri Vilchen is describing.
I see. Okay, thank you very much. Another question says if there are any programs that could be done online, like long distance programs that the participants could study from Brazil.
Not really, not much. No, of course, during the pandemic, everything was online, but we don't have much kind of full official programs online, probably in the future, but generally presence is required for a degree of the programs. But do watch this space, keep an eye out,
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much, Alison. We have a question which is more specific. It says, I'm in the last year of graduation in chemical engineering here in Brazil. I would like to know if the university also opens registration for masters in the second semester.
No. Sorry, we don't. We do have visiting students that come in the second semester. PhD students can start in the second semester. But Thought Master programs kind of run September through to the following year. So that student would have to kind of wait and carry through. I mean, some students will come and do a kind of an English language preparation course in advance, but we don't start kind of Thought Masters programs at that time. Like I said, some research and visiting students, but not full Masters programs.
I see. Thank you very much, Alison. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, but I will read the last just a couple of questions. Here it says, are there any opportunities for internships in companies in Ireland?
Yeah, I think we've kind of covered that. The placement office will help that. A lot of the programs do have internships. When looking up the course details, you can just see if there's an internship as part of it, and you will get assistance in finding one. I've mentioned some of the companies that are working with, and that's just some of the big names, but there's tons. And students can also find their own company to work with and get that approved by the university.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe the last question would be answered by Thalita. Here it says, what does a typical student day on campus look like?
Oh, I think that this is one of the most things that I like here, because I talk with Vilton, I just say that I love here, it's the silence. So it's quite different in Brazil. Even we have a lot of students in the campus, it's quite silent here. But in my typical day, for example, we had lunch together at the university in our in our building there is a kitchen, so we can just join together, but also has a gym for free for every student, and there's a lot of societies and clubs like for football, volleyball, and other sports, or just for drink a tea and play board games, and so you can choose whatever you want. There's a lot of clubs in society, and this is for all the students. And apart this, there's the landscape, so you can just enjoy the view and enjoy the university and the city. That's really beautiful, and I think it's quite calm. You have here everything that you need, all the supermarkets and all the things, and for support for health. So I think it's quite calm.
Okay. Okay, I don't know if Erivelton or Alison have anything to add on this, or you agree 100% with Thalita on her description?
Yeah, I mean, I just think there'll be a lot of variety in a student's day, depending on what course they're doing, kind of what subject, what type of course, you know, whether they have lectures, whether they're doing research, what kind of team they're with, whether they're working independently. But there is a wide range of facilities. Some students will work in the library, some will have their research hub, some will be in classrooms, some will go down the town and be doing different things. So there's just a lot of options, I would say. But it's nice to hear Thalita's experience. It sounds like a good team she's in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also I think that for undergraduate and for research master students, I think that they have easily access for the library, for the labs, for equipments. So I think that the facility that they can get equipments or even to support, it's quite very good. So I think that the opportunity, if they like to spend hours and hours in the lab, it's very, very easy, at least for my experience here in the Department of Electronics, and many others, they have similar situation as well.
Okay, thank you very much. As I was saying, unfortunately, we are over the time. Actually, I'm pretty sure that our participants have other things to do in their schedules. Thank you very much for being here with us right up to the end. In the chat, remember that you have the email addresses of our speakers today: Alison.cook@mu.ie, Thalita.Nazaré.2023@mumail.ie, and then we have Erivelton, which is erivelton.nepomuceno@mu.ie. For everyone who would like to have a certificate of attendance of this webinar issued by Docsity, please send your first and last name and the email address you use to enter this webinar, specifying which webinar you're referring to webinar@docsity.com. I don't know if our speakers would like to add something else before we close.
No, just thank you to everyone for listening. I hope this was useful, and we're more than happy to chat with you further online by email. So do just get in touch if you would like to hear more. So thank you. And thank you, Lucia, and my colleagues all for joining together.
Yeah, my final word is just to encourage, if you are able to come to support yourself or to get some financial support, I'd like to encourage, because you will certainly have a tremendous and marvelous experience in Ireland.
Thalita, anything to add?
Just thank you, and feel free to contact me and send an email. Can be in Portuguese as well, so there's no problem. For me, it's okay.
Okay, thank you very much. It was an honor for me to moderate this webinar tonight, organized in partnership with Maynooth University. I'm Lucia from Docsity. I thank our speakers for being here with us tonight, illustrating all the perks of studying in Maynooth University, and to all the participants who joined us today. Remember, for the certificate of attendance issued by Docsity, send your request to webinar@docsity.com, and we will be waiting for you to attend the next webinars organized by Docsity. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.